This video will be discussing two multiple intelligence theories, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences and Robert Sternberg's triarchic theory of intelligence. For some background, over 100 years ago, in 1905, the standard IQ test was invented, and it basically just measured one form of intelligence, right? Literally just, if you get a high score, good job. If you didn't, poor you. And essentially, Howard Gardner, decades later, he looked at this and said, there's no way that there can only be one form of intelligence. After he worked with children and adults, disabled, non-disabled, he came to the conclusion that there were things that people were good at and other things that people weren't so good at, and vice versa. It really just depended on the person. So he conceptualized a theory called Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences in his 1983 book called Frames of Mind. In his book, he proposed that we have 8 forms of intelligence. These are verbal linguistic, visual spatial, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, musical rhythmic, mathematical logical, and bodily kinesthetic. Verbal linguistic intelligence is the ability to understand and produce language, whether it's written or verbal. And it can be literally anything from reading emails to explaining a presentation. Visual spatial intelligence refers to a person's ability to visualize maps and places and graphs and so on. And these people tend to enjoy problem solving and being observant of patterns. Interpersonal ability, not intra, interpersonal intelligence is the capability to positively interact with many people and easily understand their emotions, moods, desires, and so on. Intrapersonal intelligence is similar to interpersonal, but rather only focuses on the person, him or herself, not of others. And people that have a high intelligence in this specific field tend to like daydreaming more and self-reflecting and things of that sort. Naturalistic intelligence of a person indicates that he or she is strongly attracted to nature, things in the outdoors like plants and animals and beaches and so on. And these people may tend to like outdoor activities as well, such as walking and camping. Musical rhythmic intelligence, as the name may not suggest, it actually doesn't only have to do with producing instrumentals or being talented in guitar or being knowledgeable in distinct genres of music. Rather, it's also the ability to be in tune with sounds. And it can be either from the surroundings or from other things. And it can also be making meaning of these different auditory sequences and patterns. Mathematical logical intelligence touches upon the skills of abstract problem solving and using numbers, logic, and other mathematical concepts to see visual and even thought patterns. Lastly, we have bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and this concerns a person's ability to problem solve using the physical body. So whether it's exercising or handcrafting, and also this refers to the degree of physical self-control that a person has over himself or herself. Now, if that wasn't enough, years later, Howard Gardner actually added a 9th form of intelligence, and this is called existential intelligence. This is regarding long-term thinking and also contemplating the bigger questions of life. So, for example, what's the meaning of life and death, and so on. According to Harvard University, and I quote, "The notion of multiple intelligences and Gardner's follow-up ideas about teaching individual students in the ways they can best learn and teaching important concepts in multiple ways for many access points shifted the paradigm, ushering in an era of personalized learning whose premise is still being explored." Now we're done with Gardner, and don't worry, Sternberg's theory is much simpler than this. Basically, as the name implies, Sternberg's triarchic theory of intelligence only has 3 factors, not 8 or 9. In 1985, a psychology professor at Cornell University called Robert Sternberg created triarchic theory of intelligence so that it could be more inclusive than standard academic frameworks. And as the name implies, there's 3 factors of intelligence according to this theory: analytical, creative, and practical. Analytical intelligence is just basic standard problem solving. It's something that an IQ test could measure. Secondly, creative intelligence is known as the ability to use knowledge that's already at hand in order to come up with new novel solutions or to adapt to novel and unforeseen circumstances. Lastly, practical intelligence is someone's ability to interact successfully and effectively in the real world. I hope this made sense. Have a great day.